Samuel Green had always been a man of quiet dignity. Living in a bustling city, he worked as a graphic designer, a profession that allowed him to express his creativity while avoiding the spotlight. Samuel was also an openly gay man, a member of the LGBTQ+ community who had learned to navigate the complexities of his identity with grace. He was loved by his friends, respected by his colleagues, and cherished by his family. Yet, despite his seemingly fulfilling life, Samuel often felt a gnawing void within, a sense of unrest that no amount of social acceptance or professional success could quell. This is the story of how a single, life-altering experience transformed Samuel's life, taking him on a journey from the depths of despair to the heights of redemption. It was a brisk autumn morning when Samuel set out for his usual run. The air was crisp, and the city streets were alive with the hum of life. As he jogged through the park, a sudden, sharp pain gripped his chest. His vision blurred, and the world around him faded into darkness. When Samuel regained consciousness, he wasn't in the park or a hospital. Instead, he found himself in a place he couldn't comprehend, a realm of fire and shadow, filled with wailing and despair. The very air was thick with an oppressive heat, and the ground beneath his feet seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. Samuel's first impression of this place was one of overwhelming fear. The sky above was a swirling mass of dark, crimson clouds, and the horizon seemed to stretch endlessly into a bleak nothingness. Rivers of molten lava carved paths through jagged black rocks, and the air was filled with the agonized screams of countless souls. The sight was both surreal and horrifying. He saw people trapped in torment, their faces twisted in anguish. Some were bound in chains of fire, while others were submerged in lakes of brimstone. Each soul seemed to endure a punishment uniquely tailored to their deeds in life. Samuel couldn't avert his eyes as he witnessed their suffering, and a deep, instinctive terror began to take root within him. "What is this place?" he whispered, though there was no one to answer. As he walked, he felt a strange pull, as if an unseen force were guiding him deeper into this infernal landscape. He passed through chambers of unimaginable horror, each more harrowing than the last. In one, he saw a man clawing at a wall of fire, crying out for mercy. In another, a woman was caught in an endless cycle of drowning and resurrection in a river of acid. The pain and despair were palpable, and Samuel felt as though he were suffocating under the weight of it all. Amid the chaos and torment, Samuel suddenly noticed a figure unlike any he had seen. Dressed in pure white, the figure radiated a light so intense it seemed to push back the darkness. The figure approached Samuel, and as it drew near, Samuel recognized him. It was Jesus. Though Samuel had grown up in a Christian household, he had long since distanced himself from the faith. Yet, in this moment, standing before Jesus, he felt an overwhelming sense of awe and unworthiness. "Samuel," Jesus said, his voice calm yet commanding. "You have been brought here not as a punishment, but as a warning." Trembling, Samuel fell to his knees. "Why am I here? I don't belong in this place." Jesus looked at him with eyes that seemed to pierce through to his very soul. "This is the fate of those who reject me. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Samuel was struck silent. He had always thought of himself as a good person, someone who treated others with kindness and respect. Yet, in this moment, he realized that goodness alone was not enough. He had spent his life seeking fulfillment in things that could never satisfy, while ignoring the one who could. "Samuel," Jesus continued, "you have been given a second chance. Turn from your ways and lead a life that honors God. If you do not, this will be your eternal fate." With those words, the light surrounding Jesus grew brighter, enveloping Samuel in its warmth. For the first time since arriving in this dreadful place, he felt a glimmer of hope. Samuel awoke to the sound of beeping monitors and the concerned faces of doctors and nurses. He was in a hospital room, alive and breathing. The heart attack he had suffered during his run had brought him perilously close to death, but he had been revived just in time. As he lay in the hospital bed, Samuel couldn't shake the vivid memory of what he had experienced. It had felt so real, more real than anything he had ever known. He knew deep in his heart that it hadn't been a hallucination or a dream. It was a divine intervention. Over the next few days, Samuel began to re-evaluate his life. He spent hours reading the Bible, a book he hadn't touched in years. The words seemed to leap off the pages, speaking directly to his heart. He prayed earnestly, asking God for guidance and forgiveness. When he was discharged from the hospital, Samuel made a decision that surprised even himself. He would visit a local church, a place he hadn't stepped into since his teenage years. The idea filled him with both apprehension and excitement, but he knew it was a step he needed to take. The following Sunday, Samuel attended the service at a small neighborhood church. The congregation was welcoming, and the atmosphere was warm and inviting. During the service, the pastor invited anyone who felt moved to share their testimony. Samuel hesitated at first, but then he felt a nudge, as if the Spirit were urging him forward. He stood, his heart pounding, and walked to the front of the church. "My name is Samuel," he began, his voice trembling. "I don't know most of you, but I feel compelled to share what happened to me." He recounted his near-death experience, vividly describing the horrors of hell and his encounter with Jesus. The congregation listened intently, their faces a mixture of shock and awe. By the time Samuel finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. "I've spent most of my life living for myself," Samuel admitted. "But I've realized that true fulfillment can only come from living for God. I've made mistakes, and I know I'll make more, but I'm committed to turning from my old ways and following Jesus." In the weeks and months that followed, Samuel's life underwent a remarkable transformation. He became an active member of the church, participating in Bible studies and volunteering for community outreach programs. He also began sharing his testimony with others, both in person and through online platforms, hoping to inspire others to seek God. While the journey wasn't always easy, Samuel faced criticism from some within the LGBTQ+ community and skepticism from others. He remained steadfast in his faith. He found solace in the love and support of his church family and in the knowledge that he was walking the path God had set before him. For Samuel, the near-death experience had been a wake-up call, a moment of divine intervention that had saved his soul. It was a journey he would never forget, and one he would continue to share with the world. Samuel's story is a powerful reminder of the transformative power of faith. It is a testament to God's grace and the hope that can be found even in the darkest of places. Through his experience, Samuel discovered that true life begins not with self-fulfillment, but with surrender to the one who is the way, the truth, and the life.